to Incoming, my look back at the week's historical miniature releases. This is episode 5, and I look back at the releases for the week ending Friday the 29th of May 2009. I'm of course your host, Neil Shook. Many apologies for the huge delay to this episode, unfortunately due to clashes of time with getting my podcast out and various other bits and pieces. But it's finally here, so we'll leap right into it, shall we? At number 10 this week, we have a set of new miniature releases from Raiden Miniatures. Now, Raiden specialise in aircraft. These are 1/285th scale, which is a great scale for fighter aircraft as they're still small and affordable, but give great detail. There are no less than 5 planes out by Raiden this week, which include a late war variant of the Focke-Wulf, 190, the Mustang 3 variant, which I believe was in use by the Royal Air Force, a P-40F, and my two personal favourites, the Supreme Seafire and the Hawker Tempest. Raiden produce an excellent set of products, so these are well worth checking out. Number 9, we have a new set of releases from Scarab Miniatures, rather appropriate considering the amount of time I've been devoting to discussing World War I figures on the podcast recently. Up until this point, Scarab have only produced Austro-Hungarians. These are early war French, and they've just released 3 packs, which include officers and NCOs, and 2 packs of infantry. Now, these are looking good, nice dynamic poses, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from Scarab in the future. Number 8, we have the first of a couple of entries from First Legion. Now, First Legion are a US company that produced 40mm and 54mm figures, and it's nice to see a company producing different ranges of figures in 40mm. These are a couple of packs of Saracens for their 40mm Crusades range. You have a pack of archers and a pack of infantry. Some really nice dynamic poses. I mean, actually the infantry are quite reminiscent of some of the old Britain's models that kind of appeal to the boy in me. It's something I remember as a lad looking at those particular figures. These look to be really well sculpted. I certainly hope to maybe pick up some of these in the future. At number 7 this week, and the first of no less than 4 entries in this week's Incoming for BEF Miniatures. These are all different early war figures. This first set of miniature releases are a couple of sections of British infantrymen. These look to be really nicely sculpted. Maybe a little samey when it comes to pose at the moment, but it certainly shows a lot of promise for stuff they'll produce in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing more from this particular company. At number 6 this week, staying with World War II but switching manufacturers for a minute, this is a new set of releases from Eureka Miniatures. Those fantastic set of figure sculptors from Australia. These are World War II Americans, but as you can see, they're not quite your usual World War II American troopers. These are quite purposely much more comic-based sort of characters, which is certainly an interesting take on things, and if you like gaming in a more comic or pulp sort of style, these would be ideal. Into the top 5, and pandering to the treadhead in me, this is a tank. Back to BEF Miniatures, this one, and this is a PZ-38T, one of the most prolific early war German tanks, often overlooked as it's not one of the standard Panzermarks. This is one of the Czech tanks that the German army used, but this is a great looking little model. 1/56 scale to go with their 28mm figures, and I just think this looks excellent. Obviously, to combat that, the British need something, and so BEF have produced a 2-pounder British anti-tank gun, which is my number 4 this week. Now, I've not seen many of these in 28mm. In fact, as I recall, this is the first one I've seen. I'm not saying that nobody else does one, but I'm not actually aware of one. I think this is a great looking model. The crew are very characterful, but the way the whole thing looks and is put together looks great. I'm very impressed with this little model from BEF. And finally, completing my batch of BEF releases, at number 3 we have early war German infantry. This is the only pack that I've seen on their site so far, and I'm just a sucker for German infantry. This is a light machine gun section. As with all the miniature releases this week from BEF, I think they're just great looking sculpts and nice to have some new early war stuff on the market. Moving on to the top 2, in number 2, they're almost there for the sheer number of releases they put in this week. This is warmodeling.com, who I talked about a couple of weeks ago with their Carthaginian army. They also produce a range of 20mm World War II figures, and they've just released this huge selection of World War II artillery. I mean, this is only part of what they've done produced this week, but I think they've got some excellent stuff here. You've got everything from a German 37mm anti-tank gun, 75mm infantry gun, the famous Pak-43 anti-tank gun, you've got a French anti-tank gun, the famous British 6-pounder anti-tank gun, a US, I think it's a 57mm anti-tank gun, and also a 75mm howitzer. Now, all of these guns are available with different crews. So you've got German here, Waffen-SS, Fallschirmjäger. For the British guns, you've got both British infantry and British airborne. And the same goes for the American guns. You've got American Army crew or airborne crew. A fantastic selection of guns for World War II, always coming hugely useful. And I just thought these were really, really good. So, big applaud to War Modelling for getting this range of figures out. Finally, my number one for this week goes to 1st Legion. I've already talked about the 1st Legion being, 40mm manufacturer. These are a new set of 40mm ancient figures they're producing, and these are 40mm Macedonians. And this is a huge range of figures in comparison. 8 or 9 packs they brought out, and this is to complement their Greeks, Spartans and Persians. And I just think these are great looking miniatures. Okay, maybe not some of the most exciting poses for some of them, because obviously you're dealing with an army that primarily fights in phalanxes, so you have hoplites. But I just think these figures are really well sculpted. There's a nice selection of poses. The character figures I think look great. My only reservation are with a couple of the cavalry figures, and it's not actually the riders that are the issue. And I have this same problem because they use a similar sort of horse with their Napoleonic range, and that's the one horse. You can see the one I'm talking about. It's the one that looks like it's bucking. It has both its hind feet off the floor. It looks like it's just jumped Beech's Brook around the Grand National course, if you know what I mean. And I just think that's a really bizarre horse pose. Very dynamic, but it just looks a little strange. But I think that's the only drawback in what is an excellent miniatures release, I think, from 1st Legion. 40mm really is getting to be a very popular range to game in. And I think these are excellent. Well, that's it for this week. Again, apologies for the delay in getting this particular episode out. And I'll talk to you again in a couple of days with my review for Miniatures Week ending on the 5th of June. Thanks for watching. Take care.